Alright, so you can go all the way back to the beginning of that last post that Natalie made, at the comments that are made there. It shows the mentality that I was dealing with. How Natalie, playing like I stalked her, had other people assuming worse things, and they were typing that stuff out right on her Facebook. I mean, what she said isn't what they were saying at all. Now, because of her last post, and because I never got to defend myself, all of the money that I had was taken. I didn't have any. I'm disabled, so I had disability money coming in. But I couldn't use it. It was all getting spent on going to court. So, 4th of July, the week before 4th of July of 2018, well, first let me say by that point I'd already been assaulted by Derek Apodaca. No, that might have been shortly after, but it was right around that time. That was when Molly Smith finally went in with me to help get the police to take a report. This is just a couple of days after Cody Selhorst had talked to me and tried to pacify me with a sandwich. I talked to him for about 3.5 hours, so I hope he recorded it. And then I went over to get some help. Molly Smith went in with me to make the police take a report from me, but they didn't do their jobs. It was to finally make them take a look at what was going on. I mean, the officer that they had let leave, I was trying to get him in court because of him neglecting his duties. Sheriff Scott DaCosta knew this, and they didn't do anything about it until after they'd already let him go to a different state so that he didn't have to make a statement. So, obviously, when I talked to Cody Selhorst, that was the day that I tried to kill myself. And then Molly Smith finally went in with me. And then Scott DaCosta pulled some of his BS, a few days prior to that. Basically, telling me that he hadn't even looked at the video. I mean, this is a major issue. I saved this evidence of their harassment for a reason. But I didn't keep it private. I told the whole world. When I was dealing with this stuff, I told the whole world. And I was hated for it. And I was put on Facebook bans for it. You guys would be surprised at that. But I was trying to write a police report about Ted Bollinger and Alicia Bollinger and what they pulled while I was at Nettie's Treasures. And the next day, I tried to get an officer to pull over, and he didn't. That was Jared Hahn, the day that I chased him around town until we got to Chapel Lake and he finally got out. He didn't want to do that in town. Somebody might have heard him saying he's not going to do his job. So I knew that a police officer is supposed to take a report whenever there's a 911 call. I was trying to do that with when I was in Haxton with Officer Michael Beard. I'd been trying to do that the whole time, just get a police officer to take a report and look at the evidence, but no matter what, they just wouldn't. So, Then later on that week, I ended up screeching my tires up and down town after everybody had gone to bed to make sure that other people called 911, because when I called 911, it obviously wasn't working. At my grandma's funeral, Officer Jordan Anderson hadn't taken a report about that 911 call. I mean, it was not taken seriously at all. It never is. I'm a dude. Dudes always get blown off. Oh, dude, people don't do that, and you're mentally ill, so it must be okay. Like, no. Mentally ill is not the right way to say it. It's not an illness, it's a disability, and it's only a disability under such stressful circumstances. So, Molly Smith had already gone in with me, and so then, like 3 days in a row I did this, try to force them to finally do something. On one of those days, Officer Cody Stellhorst pulled me over in his vehicle and got out and tried to intimidate me into leaving town. I picked on him back. You're not going to bully me into that. You guys did wrong. You need to fess up to it. You need to do something about it. And Jace Jepson was involved in a lot of these situations. He knew what was going on, at least to some degree. His Aunt Cammy was going to try to help me. She said I could have an hour at her back table in her restaurant, the Rusty Bucket, to work on my stuff. I was like, man, an hour isn't even enough to get all this out of the bag. I mean, there is so much stuff to go through. And when I left there, I was exhausted with trying. I stopped in the middle of the road and started spreading my papers out for the whole world to see, hoping somebody would care. And Jace Jepson that night came and got me too, out of the middle of the road. And then it started raining. You guys got no idea how good the Jepson family are. They're good people. And I needed somebody to go in with me or they weren't going to do anything, and I knew it. So with the 911 calls, they still weren't doing anything to listen to me worth of shit, to understand what's going on. So I was finally able to get Jen Beebe to come down, and they told her something different than they told me. And I was trying to explain to her that I needed her to be there so that I can make a police report about all of this, to make them do their jobs. If you're there, then they are more likely to, and you're a witness. That's why I brought my camera with me with Molly Smith. But that situation was so messed up, I needed her to understand. I needed officers to do their jobs. I needed her to understand the abuse that I was going through. I mean, it's illegal for her not to. I'm trying to report abuse against a disabled person. I need you to be there so that I can do that. But they told her that I was trying to suicide by cop and I had reached for one of their guns. I'm like, fuck no. I'm trying to make a police report right now, not kill myself. Between one or the other, I'd rather make a police report. So because they had lied to Jen Beebe, she had me committed to the hospital in Scotts Bluff. And then when I got out of there, there was the assault by Derek Apodaca and some other situations with Natalie's family that were so messed up. And there was that Kara Johnson Miles lady and her bullshit, and Shannon Alvarado letting me know what that woman was doing. I mean, that Kara Johnson Miles lady is a messed up person. And I couldn't get anyone to go in with me to make the police take a report. So every time I went in, whether I went to the courthouse or wherever, they refused. I didn't know where I needed to go to talk to those people. And, like a Joseph Michael Lopez court date, It was Ted Bollinger who threw a fucking tantrum like a child in the courtroom and hid behind a bunch of people. I'm like, I'm here to make a report against the police here and against the Bollinger family. Like, that's really the main reason for going to that. Two birds with one stone. I get to see Joseph Michael Lopez, and I get to fill out that paperwork. But they made sure that I couldn't. So, I mean, that's a major roadblock. And the Bollinger's friends and family just kept on harassing me and threatening me, and everywhere that I thought it was home, Boulder, Colorado, and Chapel, Nebraska, I got people threatening my life for things I didn't do to this day. But anyway, when I went back to Colorado, I was desperate, so I threatened to kill the people who threatened to kill me and threatened to kill my family. Not by name. I just was venting and trying to force a court date. See, that's the thing, is that Alicia Bollinger's friends, the things they were doing are messed up. You don't do that to another human being. I should have been allowed a day in court, but them officers and that court date down there in Colorado, they refused to do anything about it. And they escorted me out of the building so I couldn't take their boys to court. And of course, you're not allowed to have your cell phones on to record in the courtroom anyway, but there was a cameraman there from one of the news stations. What Ted Bollinger did there was messed up. What he did to his daughters is messed up. Anyway, I missed my court dates here in Nebraska because I was charged with crimes. I literally was breaking the law to try to force the police to take a look at that stuff. Jen Beebe